Coming up on this week's Off-Screen, the dinos are back in Jurassic World. You know you've been looking forward to it. And we hear from Sir Ian McKellen on the upcoming Mr. Holmes. All that and more to come off-screen.
This is OffScreen. OffScreen. With the latest film news and reviews, this is OffScreen, the on-screen radio show.
Welcome to Off-Screen, the on-screen radio show and podcast. I'm Van Connor.
And I am Kase Allen.
You are indeed.
I am. I certainly am.
So,
not Nick Cage.
Not Nick Cage. No,
Yeah.
we proved that in the last Slam Dunk Cinema. So, well, before we get to everything we've got this week, we'll just do a quick plug for our Twitter and Facebook crowd. If you want to tweet us, you want to Facebook us and join in, our Twitter handle, I believe it is at onscreen_film. And same for Facebook, really. So, should we have a look at the film news for this week, Case? There's a lot been going on.
We should. Oh, yeah. Busy week.
It has been. It's been incredibly busy. It's an awful. I thought we didn't have much, and then I started looking at it. There's a lot happened. So, of course, we have to talk first and foremost about the sad demise of Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee, infamous horror. Sir Christopher Lee.
Sir Christopher. You keep forgetting that.
I keep forgetting he's a Sir.
Of course he was a Sir.
He was. He was a Sir of horror and of the British Empire.
Yes.
Sir Christopher Lee passed away, sadly, at the age of 93, which is good innings.
Very good innings. He had quite the life before he even started to work on film. It was incredible.
Because he was a counterintelligence spy in World War II. He was Ian Fleming's cousin as well. Did you know this?
He was, before he was Scaramanga.
Before he was in a Bond movie, he was Scaramanga. As well as loads. I mean, he basically made his name really in the likes of the Hammer horror films. Particularly of, I think it was Frankenstein.
It was Frankenstein first, and then he signed...
1958.
1958, I think, around about that time. He signed like a decade-long contract, and that got extended.
And then, that got extended, and then some.
Yeah, and then he became Dracula.
1970. It went on for 12 years before he became Dracula, and then all the sequels that followed. And in the meanwhile, he was in Bond films and The Wicker Man, quite
of course,
famously.
Which is one of my favourite films of all time.
Oh, God, who doesn't love The Wicker Man?
Summer Isle.
Oh,
so good. that dress.
But no, say Christopher Lee, absolute legend of a horror icon, legend of an actor and an absolute horror icon. We have a clip, of course, which pays the ultimate tribute to the man. This is a recording of Christopher Lee when he received his knighthood in, I believe it was 2011. Here we go.
It's what you don't see, and I won't go and see these films now. I don't particularly want to, because everything is shown in gruesome and gory detail, and to me that is not the way. If I'm a cult figure, it's because I survived. That's one thing. And I'm still working, and I've got 7 films to come out. And I've been in a lot of films, some of which were comedies, some of which were scary movies, and they have become cult movies.
Christopher Lee there discussing the finer points of modern horror movies and, of course, his own cult status. And, well, rest in peace, good sir. You did us all a good service.
He certainly did.
Like I say, we'll never see the likes of his kind again. What an icon.
Not for a long, long time.
There was one quote I read about him that I really liked, which was, he could make schlock sound like Shakespeare.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That really does sum him up, doesn't it?
Have you heard about the Peter Jackson... Peter Jackson's own tribute was wonderful, as was Sir Ian McKellen's tribute.
Yes,
but there was a video that was circulating that I think it was done for like the bonus features for one of the Lord of the Ringses.
I didn't see it. I heard of it. What was the story behind it?
Basically, spoiler alert, Saruman gets stabbed in the back.
Oh,
that's what happens.
I remember this. Yeah.
And Peter Jackson was trying to convey to him how somebody would sound when they get stabbed in the back, and so Christopher Lee was like, that's not how a man sounds when he gets stabbed in the back. He said, can you imagine how it sounds? And Christopher Lee says, I don't have to imagine.
No, I've heard that one.
Which is the most badass thing I think I've ever heard.
It is fantastic, isn't it? Oh, well, we'll never see the likes of that kind
certainly
again.
Not.
So, of course, Ron Moody also passed away this week.
Yeah, Fagin
from Oliver passed away, aged 91 as well.
Very good innings, yeah.
Christopher Lee was 93, Ron Moody was 91. Well, yes, again, good innings. But what else we got in the meanwhile? Matthew Vaughn, the director, co-writer and director of Kingsman: The Secret Service, has confirmed that he is working on the script for a sequel, and he may direct it as well.
He may. I think he will. I think he'll be tempted back.
I think if we can avoid Kick-Ass 2 territory, because it went far too cartoony, and I think Kingsman, it's all about that perfectly balanced tone. You don't want to go too far.
It was on the right side of the line. Absolutely,
it was, and it's like Kick-Ass was. Kick-Ass was on the perfect side of the line, and then Kick-Ass 2 just went barreling over. And
can't even see the line anymore.
Can't see the line. That line, the line is a dot to you.
Yeah, the line is a dot to you.
So, in a full-on case of the swapsies, The Martian and Victor Frankenstein have shifted their release dates.
Done the old switcheroo.
So, The Martian is now going to be opening this year on October 2nd, and it's traded places with Victor Frankenstein, which was in that slot. Victor Frankenstein will now open on November 25th, opposite The Good Dinosaur. So,
have you got some news about Good Dinosaur?
The cast list has been unveiled. Yeah. We didn't have time to add it to the list. Do you know it, though?
I know that Steve Zahn is in it.
Steve Zahn is in it. We'll dig it up for later on in the show.
Steve Zahn and Anna Paquin, other people as well.
We'll dig it up for later on in the show. So in the meanwhile, Joe Carnahan. I love this news. Joe Carnahan has been approached to write and direct Bad Boys 3 to take over from Michael Bay. Now, first of all, yes, let's get Michael Bay away from Bad Boys.
And let's bring in Joe Carnahan, because that is a brilliant meeting of director and subject, I think.
It really is. Can you imagine how that would play? I mean, I'd like a sort of grittier, more raw Bad Boys. I would also like more of the comedy back from the first movie, because that's something the second movie for me really lacked. It wasn't anywhere near as funny. It was about 10% comedy as opposed to the sort of 60% comedy of the first one.
I think he can also bring that level of humour, because did you watch Stretch?
That's what I was going to suggest.
Yeah,
Stretch.
I really enjoyed Stretch.
I did as well. There were things about it that really, really worked. There were some things that didn't, but there were things about it that really, I love the Hoff cameo in it.
Yeah, that works especially well.
That did work really, really well. So what else we got then? Oh, right. This is a strange one for you. Right. In order to promote the reboot of the upcoming Fantastic Four movie, 20th Century Fox have removed all traces of the 2005 original Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer from iTunes and Amazon. Now,
starting afresh.
This comes after the sort of for the last few months we've had a thing about Marvel are trying to excise the Fantastic Four from their library, from their marketing, in order to not promote a film they don't own the rights to. So it seems that Fox are beating them to the punch. Yeah, make of that one what you will. And Uwe Boll. We got to talk about Uwe Boll.
Have we got to talk about Uwe Boll?
You've got to. What a legend of a man Uwe Boll's been.
You've got to respect him.
You do. Really. Uwe Boll this week took to YouTube to send out a rant aimed at his own fan base for not successfully funding his Kickstarter campaign to produce. Is it Rampage 3? It's called.
It's something.
I haven't seen
rubbish like that.
Seen one or two. Have you seen one or two?
I've not seen one or two, and I think if 3 ever gets made, I don't think you'll need to have seen 1 or 2 to understand what's going on.
Oh, no, wait, okay, let me get into this. Because the rant is where he levels his anger at his entire fan base. He tells them to go blank themselves. And then
fill in that word by yourselves.
Fill in that word by yourselves. Here's a hint: it isn't cuddle. And he makes some very sweeping generalisations about the state of film in general. He specifically tells them, "Wake up, people! Iron Man is not real. Captain America is not real." Okay, yes, but neither are your movies, Uwe. And my real favourite point is he then says, out of spite, that he's going to go and make the film anyway. In which case,
why even do the Kickstarter project in the first place?
Exactly. If you can go
fund it.
If you can go and do it out of spite. But he also says, I don't need to be doing this. I could be playing golf for the rest of my life. You're thinking, if you can afford to do that, make the damn film. But it's Uwe Boll. What can you say? This man is just a mental case.
Where does he live?
I don't know.
Where is his head?
I like to imagine that Uwe Boll lives in a cabin isolated on the top of a very tall mountain.
Yeah.
And he just spends his days shirtless, tracking bears, barehanded in the woods.
punching the bears in the
punching
face.
bears in the face.
If a bear says something negative about one of his films, he smacks him down.
Exactly. How dare you? Postal was amazing. It's misunderstood. I've never seen Postal. I've never seen Postal 2. I have no desire to.
I've seen... What's the one that had Statham in it?
In the Name of the King.
Yeah.
Is it a Dragon Siege Tale or something?
Some
There's then a
ridiculous title,
sequel
yeah.
with Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
Which involves time travel, I believe. But
I've not seen... No, I don't know.
yeah, we'll get to that. So, a third Pitch Perfect film is coming.
Yeah, are you excited about that?
No, not really.
Well, because you really enjoyed the first one, and then the second one...
I tuned out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, did you get round to seeing the second one?
I tried to watch it the other day, and...
Did you just nod off?
I did just nod off.
It's not. I don't think it's nod off.
I was watching a lot of films that particular day, so I'll go back.
I'm not going to judge you. So I say the third one is coming. Kay Cannon, who has written the first two, she's due to come back for the third as well. So whether or not Elizabeth Banks will remains to be seen, because we have Elizabeth Banks news to come up later. In the meanwhile, the release date for London Has Fallen. The Olympus Has Fallen sequel, London Has Fallen.
That's quite the teaser poster, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah. Did you know they put out the teaser poster for Olympus Has Fallen, which has a massive shot of Big Ben being destroyed. They put that out the same day as the general election results.
Yes, I did know that.
Yeah, which is the greatest marketing statement you could ever make.
That's exactly what I said to my fiance, actually.
They put out a poster of Big Ben being blown up with "London Has Fallen" written on it. They put it out on the same day as the general election. I'm saying nothing. But London Has Fallen has been pushed back from this fall to January next year. It's going to be out in January now. It was due on October 2nd, the same day as The Martian and the Robert Zemeckis film The Walk.
The Walk, yeah. That's interesting. Those two. It's really interesting that Martian is coming out on that particular day. Do you know why?
Go for it.
Because 2 years previous on that date was when Gravity was released.
This has been pointed out. They are hoping for a bit of that Gravity one. It seems to be
are.
on similar terrain, the concept.
It's been getting some really positive buzz just from that trailer.
I'm intrigued. I mean, Ridley Scott's due a great film.
He's overdue.
He's overdue. Like the San Andreas Fault, it's just overdue.
It's not a case of if, it's a case of when.
Yeah. When the film hits, who do we call? Everybody. Right. Okay, one final piece of news before we go to the before we go to Box Office Top 10 and the rest of the show. According to Mark Wahlberg, Michael Bay will be returning to direct Transformers 5. Do we celebrate this news? I'm confused. Is this positive news? Is it negative? I don't know.
I don't know. No, it's not positive for me. Get Joe Carnahan. Get him to do all the Michael Bay projects.
I think that'd be a great idea. Let's just champion Joe Carnahan.
Even the current film that Michael Bay is doing, even 13 Hours, kick him off the film.
I think so. Do you know what's happening? I think we should do to Michael Bay what's inevitably going to happen to Micah Monroe, which is when Micah Monroe is going to be announced for something, everyone shows up and says, no, get Mae Whitman. I think people should do it with Michael Bay. Everyone turns around, no, get Joe Carnahan.
Yep.
That should happen.
He'll do a better job.
Right, so interview time, because Mr. Holmes is due for release this next week. The latest film from director Bill Condon, who brought us Gods and Monsters, and I believe the last two Twilight films as well.
Yes, and he's also bringing us the live-action version of Beauty and the Beast.
He is, and I have a theory about that with Mr. Holmes, because Ian McKellen is in Beauty and the Beast as well.
And he's in Gods and Monsters. I feel like they have a bit of a...
There is a bit of a thing. Yeah. I have a feeling about why Bill Condon's doing Beauty and the Beast after Mr. Holmes.
Okay.
I have seen Mr. Holmes. We will be reviewing it next week. And I have mainly positive things to say about it, to be fair.
Good.
And Ian McKellen's absolutely superb in it. We have an interview with him here. James Kleiman has gotten to sit down with Ian McKellen and talk to him about taking on the role of Sherlock.
Yes, I wish I could remember when I first met Sherlock. Probably, on the page, reading the stories. And then probably on radio, because I'm the last generation who didn't have television as a kid, The Sherlock that made a huge impact on me, because I thought it was so original but so believable, was Jeremy Brett on television, with Edward Hardwicke as Dr. Watson. But, as many of us, Sherlock Holmes has always been there. I can't really remember the time I met him.
And what's different about the Sherlock who we get to see in this film, in Mr. Holmes?
Well, this is a Sherlock Holmes who said, I never wore a deerstalker. I never spoke to pipe. I much prefer a cigar. And Sherlock is saying that the stories by Dr. Watson weren't necessarily the truth of the matter. And that's the point of this story, is that the last case that he solved, he believes 30 years on that he didn't really solve it at all, and now he does want to solve it. So Sherlock Holmes is considerably older than other Mr. Holmeses, 93 at some point during our film. And a man beginning to lose his faculties and worried about that, and a man beginning to discover his humanity. So it's a Sherlock Holmes that's not quite as we expect him to be, and who by the end of the film has turned himself into a rather nicer person. It's a rather optimistic film.
And how did you find that experience of playing him in his 60s and in his 90s? And did one sort of inform the other as it
Well, that's a nice puzzle, isn't it? It's showing off, frankly. You know, I'm old at one point, and then I'm less old at another point. And they're done on different days, so they feel like slightly different characters. And it was thrilling doing the younger Holmes, the man at the height of his powers, skipping and jumping along the streets of London, and London looking as it must have done at the time with horses and carriages and top hats and everything. Absolutely thrilling. And then the other more contemplative Holmes at the end of his life, living in the countryside overlooking the south coast, filmed last summer when it was beautifully sunny. It was a blissful job, really, but such fun to do two different sorts of Holmes. Yeah.
And there's a heartwarming friendship, isn't there, at the centre of the film
With the
young
boy.
Roger, yes, played by Milo Parker. What did you enjoy about? I know he was a Gandalf fan, as he mentioned in Berlin, but what did you enjoy about creating that relationship with him?
We didn't get very close. In fact, we had a working relationship, two actors. If I'm working on a film, I'm very much in the character. I'm not saying I can't be myself, but I'm aware that we're filming and there's a job to be done, so there's not much chit-chat, But my goodness, what a good performance, and very easy to relate to, and a very friendly, bright lad, yeah.
And how about Laura Linney, brilliant in the film as Mrs. Monroe?
Well, Laura, I've never worked with before, and I've admired her, particularly in Bill Condon movies, Bill Condon, our director. So often I just am gobsmacked by what actors can do, and she comes over here, she's an American, and there she's doing a quite specific British regional accent, and you think, well, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do the reverse of that. And her technique in front of the camera, there's lots about filming that is fun for me, because I am just fascinated by the whole business of making films and putting on plays. And when I get the opportunity to be up close against experts who are doing it so well, and in a film you can more easily observe than you can on stage. If you're on stage with another actor, then you're acting, but there will be a time when the close-up is on Laura and the camera's here and I'm behind the camera, so I'm allowed to observe and be objective, and that was great fun. And I was allowed to have some old friends in it. Roger Allen was the doctor, and Frankie Barber plays a hilarious little bit of Holmesiana, and Francis de la Tour, and David Fox. Yeah, wonderful.
And you mentioned Bill Condon, of course. There are some similarities between this and your last collaboration with him, Gods and Monsters, aren't there, in terms of it being sort of an older man, haunted by his past, or sort of looking back?
Yes, but Bill's movies swing between the outrageously popular Twilight, Dreamgirl, Chicago, and the introspective and social-minded Bill, who is interested in how people tick. And yes, Gods and Monsters, that really was a career changer for me. I played the leading part in a film, and it was well received, and Bill helped me through it every inch of the way. So when he said, "Can we do another film?" I didn't really read it. I said, yes, of course. But then it was Mr. Holmes. Oh, and that really good part. And there are similarities, yes, but this is its own film.
James Kleiman there with Sir Ian McKellen, and Mr. Holmes is out next week when we'll be reviewing it. So shall we move on to the box office top 10 before we take a break?
Let's move swiftly on.
Number 10.
Moving down to number 10, we have the Lake Bell, Simon Pegg starring film Man Up.
Right, did you get to see this in the end?
I still haven't seen it.
You still haven't seen it, because you're quite a fan of Lake Bell, aren't you?
I really am.
Which I'm not. I'm the opposite. I find her very...
I'm kind of surprised by that. I thought you would. I thought you would like her. I don't know.
I'm very vacuous and shallow, so...
I like because she's a really good writer and director as well.
Oh, yes, that. But no, Man Up, which I did think was quite funny. I did think it was very funny. I did think, though, that Sharon Horgan, who plays the older sister, would have been better off in the lead role. Simon Pegg is on bizarrely Hugh Grant-esque territory here, and he is going for that Hugh Grant-style performance that, charmingly...
So affably British,
It's just so laughable. You know, that sort of a gimmick. But Rory Kinnear owns that film. It is all about Rory Kinnear for me. Yeah. He owned the film with a, I would say, relatively small but fairly intrinsic and highly comedic performance sort of character. Yeah. I liked it.
Number 9.
Straight at number 9, a brand new entry. It is Dil Dakani Do.
Number 8.
Back with a Vengeance.
And then some.
Have you heard about this film? It's a
little known film.
Small like independent flick. The Empire Strikes Back,
which is, of course, is back in the top 10 because of Secret Cinema. Secret Cinema have been running this as an event, one of their immersive cinema experiences. What have they done for this one? Do you know? Because when they did the Back to the Future one, they actually built a section of Hill Valley.
I don't know the specifics, but I feel like they might have just like built Mos Eisley or something.
They not just rented out one of the Escape Snowdomes and said, let's just do Hoth.
Let's do Hoth, yeah.
Let's do Hoth. Everyone sit in the snow, we'll watch the film. There's some stormtroopers walking around.
Get a camel, pretend it's a tauntaun, yeah.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Number 7.
Moving down, sadly, I really love this film, Tomorrowland, A World Beyond.
Did you really love this one?
I did.
Okay, we are on the same page then.
Yeah, I go back to it every week. I think about it. I'll read something about it and I'll be like, yeah, man, I'm on board.
I liked it. I mean, it has gotten a panning, and again, it comes up in the film news later. I think it's upbeat, it's adventurous, it's fun, it's got a little bit of whimsy to it.
It's visually captivating.
It is. Yeah. I think there is less to it than the marketing implied.
Yeah.
But it is all about tone, and it is all about adventure.
It's about wonder and joy.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about wonder and joy. And you know what? If I think they should have advertised more on that, rather than hinting that there was something bigger to come. And I mean, on a marketing level, it's failed, but as a film, I think it's very successful. And I think Clooney and Britt Robertson, and particularly Raffaele Cassidy as the young girl, are great.
She was the star of the show. Yeah, for me, definitely.
And of course, Keegan-Michael Key getting the best entrance.
Co-star of the show.
Co-star of the show for having the best entrance in any film until Harrison Ford shows up in December.
Until December. Yeah.
Until December.
Number 6.
Moving down again to number 6, Age of Ultron.
No, have we said everything there is to say on this subject?
There's nothing else we can say, I don't think.
Good, not great. One for the fans only. Not a particularly good self-contained film.
It's building. It's a chess piece film.
It's a mid-season two-parter rather than a season finale.
Vision owns it.
Vision owns it, even though he shouldn't, and only shows up in the last half hour and then takes all the narrative arcs for some reason.
But we'll see him a lot more in Civil War.
Yeah.
We can't say anything else.
Number 5.
Pitch Perfect 2.
Do you want to take this one?
Really fantastic opening 30 seconds. Really great.
You know what? I'll go with that. It does have a great opening 30 seconds. I particularly like the cameo by way of archive footage of the Obamas. But unfortunately, it does seem it is a victim of its own success. Pitch Perfect, I think, because the first film had been such a surprise, because it took so many cliches but spun them around through the power of sharp dialogue and really biting humour. What they've done this time is, you know what? Let's go for the same thing, but then they've forgotten to put that sharp dialogue in it. They've forgotten to put the wit that made Pitch Perfect in there, and what you have instead is a checklist of who can we make fun of quite mercilessly now. Oh look, we haven't made a joke about black people for 10 minutes, so let's get those 2 sarcastic judges in here and they can do that, and now we'll go after women, and then we'll go to Jewish people, and it is that checklist of what race, what gender can we target next. And I mean, even to the extent of Rebel Wilson's character, who was always sort of a mould-breaking figure in the first film anyway, because she played on the stereotype quite nicely. Here, it's a very wasted character, and she has basically become the sort of figure that a lot of the naysayers have always said she is, which I found quite disappointing.
Do you think in the follow-up, her character will get bigger as well? I feel like she'll become more of a focus, to be honest. I think Anna Kendrick might... I mean, I've not seen the rest of the film, so I don't know how...
I think Haley Steinfeld will be the star of the sequel.
Oh, do you reckon?
I think that's why she's been dumped into this film. Haley Steinfeld will be the lead in the third one, I think. But I don't know. I mean, time will tell. I mean, does this mean we get to see more of Katie Seagal, I wonder? But
maybe.
Because that was a nice little cameo.
Number 4.
Moving down, one of the best action films for quite a while.
You were a fan of this.
I was a big fan. Mad Max Fury Road.
What's not to love? It is fast, it's furious, it's faster and furious than Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
It's got Tom Hardy doing a pretty good Mel Gibson standing there, sort of there. It's got.
He doesn't say a lot, so it's great.
It was like 16 lines or something.
It's something like that.
I'm sure someone's toted it up, but Charlize Theron, so good in this, so good. But anyway, this is a movie in which you can even turn around and say, "Do you know what? Rosie Huntington-Whiteley was really good in that film."
Yeah.
Yes. How weird is that to say out loud? The love interest from Transformers 3 is actually pretty good in this movie.
I completely blacked out that she was in it.
Zoe Kravitz is also in it, if you weren't paying attention.
Yeah, she's good. Nick Holt.
Nick Holt as well.
Really good.
Who I really liked.
And,
what a day. What a lovely day.
Shiny and chrome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, it's very, very fast-paced, very sort of, I would say, on the edge of your seat, engrossing kind of a ride. And it is a ride. That's the best way to describe it. It's a ride with weird bits of philosophy thrown in, weird character arcs in there, real survivalist, apocalyptic, end-of-the-world stuff, and it all means something, which is bizarre nowadays. Yeah.
A lot of love and a lot of work has gone into it. You can see it on the screen.
Yeah,
it definitely shows.
It helps all those practical effects, I think.
Yeah, listen up, Jurassic World.
Listen up, JW. I keep saying JP. Listen up, JW.
Number 3.
Brand new. I thought this might have been a little bit higher. Chapter 3 of Insidious.
Yes, Insidious Chapter 3. Well, I mean, you look at what's above it, I think it's quite obvious why it didn't get number 1. But no, Insidious Chapter 3, which is definitely one of my favourite, probably my favourite of the Insidious movies. It works as a self-contained supernatural mystery horror movie. And I like that about it. It has, in a way that this week's big release does, it acknowledges the outside franchise offhandedly and quite cleverly. It doesn't ram it down your throat. It doesn't pull a George Lucas where everything needs to be in there. Oh, look, this microwave is eventually going to become the key component of the Death Star. None of that nonsense. It's all quite subtle, and it is all about the self-contained film. And I really liked it. Really sort of creepily and effectively directed by Lee Winnell, who's making his sort of debut behind the camera here. He's written and directed this one, having just been involved in less capacity on the others. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really effective, and it really worked.
Number 2.
You're looking forward to this, aren't you?
Now what will we do?
We rebuild.
We rebuild.
San Andreas.
There we go. San Andreas.
Now, you and I had the pleasure of seeing this together this last week. What do you do when you got an afternoon off? Go to the IMAX screen.
You go watch The Rock.
Watch The Rock in IMAX. And, right, so obviously I've said my piece on it, which I think it's a really solid, engaging 90s throwback disaster movie without any of the annoying sort of added frills which just don't need to be there. What about yourself?
Yeah, pretty much the same. You don't need the science with this film, do you? You don't.
Who are we going to call? Everybody.
Yeah, you need Paul Giamatti to do that,
you don't need
whisper,
science. Yeah, you don't need science, you just need Paul Giamatti.
You just need Paul Giamatti to do that. And, man, he's got a very, collection of films coming out this year, hasn't he?
He really has.
Yeah, but yeah, San Andreas, I really, really enjoyed it. Maybe more than I should have, but yeah, it was a nice Monday afternoon off, definitely.
Definitely. I think the third act is just absolutely deranged. I think it's fantastic.
The last line.
The very last line, yes, the very last line of this film. That's how you end a film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Number 1.
Straight in with a bullet, Spy.
Literally with a bullet.
With a bullet, yeah.
So Spy, now you quite enjoyed this, didn't you?
I did.
For the most part.
For the most part, yeah. Without getting into it like we did last week, I liked it. Statham steals the show. Could have done with a little less Peter Serafinowicz, which I thought was something I would never say in my life because I love Peter Serafinowicz.
Same here.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not a big Paul Feig fan, but yeah, it was funny. It was funny.
With the exception of the Paul Feig comment, I agree with literally everything you just said.
Okay.
No, I quite like Paul Feig, although I read something he said about Ghostbusters 3 which concerns me somewhat, but I'll get into that another time. No, I really enjoyed it. I laughed so much more than I expected to. I think Melissa McCarthy really does know how to work her shtick in the hands of Paul Feig. Feig knows how to work her shtick quite effectively with Paul Feig. And the pair in tandem can solidly craft a film. for me. I think that personally, I think this is one of the better action comedies.
Maybe I will
of the year.
need to give it a second watch. Maybe because just personally for me, these kind of films sometimes I have to watch them a couple of times.
I mean, for me, a great compliment to pay it is that I came out of the cinema and thought, do you know what? I really want to watch The Heat again. Because that's how much I thought, actually, it was a real good fun time, but I want to keep this sort of good time thing going. I want to go home and watch The Heat.
But it makes you think of a different film.
It does a little bit. Yeah, well, damning praise.
With the latest film news and reviews, this is OffScreen.
So we're back, and we should probably plug our competitions this week. If you're not aware, you can pop along to OnScreenFilm.com, and we have a whole section for competitions. You can go in, enter, and win a variety of prizes. This week, well, the big prize is...
What have we got?
Well, we've got prizes to tie in with next week's release of the one and only... Entourage movie. Entourage is finally a positive. I'm a big fan of Entourage, the series. Did you ever watch Entourage?
I've actually watched a pilot last week.
You watched the part last week. Are you trying to get through it all before you get to the film? Or get through a chunk?
No, I'm gonna end up seeing the film before.
You're gonna watch the film dry, eh?
Because I've got 4 other series I'm currently watching. I don't want to take anything else on fully before, and so
That's fair enough. So it's a shame there's not a West Wing movie coming, otherwise you'd be in good stead, I think.
Oh my god, yeah.
No, I am an Entourage fan. I have seen the movie. We will be reviewing it next week. But if you go along to onscreenfilm.com, go in our competition section, we do have... Entourage goodie bags to give away, and well, these are they're quite intriguing goodie bags. They
what do you get in them?
Well, they come with a gym bag, a t-shirt, sports water bottle, tank top for the ladies as well.
The ladies,
instead of Entourage sort of drinks coasters.
Okay.
And, so onscreenfilm.com, get entering. So, should we do some more film news before we get to the reviews?
I think we have to. There's so much to get through.
What's the thing? We've only got one film this week. We've got a load of film news.
Yeah.
So, Hateful Eight. Have you heard about the release of this?
I've heard about the release date and the format.
Yes, this is very interesting. So if you're not aware, this is Quentin Tarantino's upcoming sort of Magnificent Seven-esque Western, The Hateful Eight. It's going to be released on Christmas Day this year in 70mm format. So this is old school film it's being released.
It is, yeah.
And then it will be released on now traditional digital.
Yeah.
How weird is that to say?
But we're now saying that...
We're now saying normal, standard, digital. So it'll be in regular cinemas on January the 8th of 2016. So January 8th, 2016 in regular cinemas. But if you want to see it a little bit earlier, find a cinema that shows 70mm, which...
Maybe in London somewhere,
in London, is there not... Does Bradford not do that as well?
I don't know,
I think
maybe,
Bradford might do it. But if you know a cinema that does 70mm as well, you can see it on
I've
Christmas
heard that
Day.
in the States, Quentin Tarantino is like personally, or his people are like retrofitting certain
His
cinemas.
people.
His people.
Tarantinites, are we going to call
Tarantinite. Oh, I like that. Oh,
Tarantinites.
yes. We'll just call them Tarantinos.
Quentbots?
That doesn't work so
Quentbots?
well.
No, Tarantinites. Okay.
Tarantinites.
So this is Ghostbusters news. You and I love this one, don't we?
Oh, I'm a fan of this.
So this is the news that since they've gender flipped the Ghostbusters this time around, they are now women instead of men. Well, of course, there is one other integral character that has also been gender flipped, and here's a hint: it's not Slimer. Well, the character they have chosen to gender flip is the role of the Ghostbusters secretary, whom Annie Potts played Janine in the original two movies. She has now been, but that's now been changed around. This is going to be Chris Hemsworth as the Ghostbusters put upon secretary. So, what do you make of this one, Kase?
Well, I sort of predicted this a while ago.
Did you?
Not that it was going to be Hemsworth, but I predicted that they were going to gender swap the secretary. I said it was going to be Bill Hader.
Which I think would have been great.
Yes, but I am, definitely for Chris Hemsworth. Just on the fact that Vacation trailer.
He looks like he's really. He looks like he can do comedy.
Like,
doesn't he?
Definitely, yeah.
Because also he's got that great balance between deadpan and unfunny.
Well, I think
he can do deadpan quite well.
Oh, definitely. I think that he has some of the best comedic performances in the Avengers.
I was going to say that he can play the comedic stuff in the Avengers because of the deadpan nature. He does the comedic stuff in Avengers really well. Particularly the first Thor movie.
What, this drink? I like it. Oh, the horse. The horse.
The horse.
Oh.
Things like the horse. He does that really well.
One big enough to ride.
But I watched Black Hat this week for the first time since its theatrical release, and because it was on the iPad, and I will admit I was watching it in the gym. And you wouldn't think a Michael Mann movie would work on a cross-trainer, but strangely enough, it does. And I really enjoyed Black Hat the second time round, even though it's over-directed to hell We do not need to see how an entire cash point process works. But, you know, I'll go with it. But yes, Chris Hemsworth, I do like him. Can't wait to see him in Ghostbusters 3, or whatever it's going to be called.
They've not released the title.
They've not released the title. It's going to be. It's not going to be Ghostbusters 3.
No,
it's not, because it's a complete reboot. It's not going to be Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah, Paul Feig is saying it's its own entity. Yeah.
So speaking of formats with Tarantino, by the way, we should talk about Star Wars Episode 8. Which Ryan Johnson has revealed he's not going to be shot digitally or on IMAX. This is going to be shot
that's interesting.
on old school 35mm film. Which, wow, that one came out of nowhere. Because what's Episode 7? What's Force Awakens been shot on? It's a bit of both, isn't it?
It's a mixture of both, to the point where J.J. Abrams even tweeted pictures of the IMAX cameras.
Well, that's why we put the picture on our site. So we've seen an IMAX camera being used for it. But this seems to be the done thing, combining the two at the moment. We've got Captain America Civil War is going to be an experiment for the new IMAX cameras. And then I believe it's Infinity War is going to be the first film shot completely on IMAX with these new cameras. But in the meanwhile, Star Wars Episode 8, it's going to be all 35 back.
Yeah,
this is.
It'd be interesting to see the tone that it's going for, or even like some of the locations.
Yeah, I'm very interested about that.
Yeah.
But okay, so Fox Animation have bought the rights to the apparently very acclaimed webcomic series Nimona. Have you heard about this?
I've not, no.
I didn't know this. I had to ask Calvin about it because Calvin's more plugged into what I would describe as youthful culture than I am, being that he's a decade younger than me. And he said it's very popular with girls his age.
Okay.
Which, having seen it, I'm confused because it's quite an old, it looks like old school French animation. You know, the French animation of the 60s and 70s?
Yeah.
Almost Moomin-like, I would describe it as. And this is about a young girl who is a shapeshifter who teams up with a disgraced knight. And yeah, that one could be interesting. It's going to be an animated feature from Fox, who apparently took part in a bit of a bidding war for it as well. Apparently it's that popular.
Are Fox going to adhere to that same style of animation?
Who knows? I mean, I've got money on it turning out computer animated in this day and age, but because why release something in hand-drawn animation? So, Elizabeth Banks, we hinted at this earlier. We should talk about this. Elizabeth Banks is in negotiations to direct Red Queen, which is going to be a new Universal-produced young adult adaptation series.
She's got some form with YA material, hasn't she?
Well, yes. Yeah. But Red Queen, weirdly, sounds like the young adult version of Gattaca.
Yes.
In which there's a sci-fi society determined by people's blood types.
Bloodline,
I think
red blood and silver blooded.
This seems to be the thing. The colour of your blood determines the caste that you live in, etc. Which is it's Gattaca for tweens. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's another faction kind of, isn't it? Yeah.
Is it me, or is there a real push to try and get the teenage crowd to segregate themselves? I don't know.
Put them in a maze.
Put them in a maze. They can fend for themselves. Although there are some real issues with the Maze Runner, if you ask me, namely the fact it seems to have been intentionally designed for a porn parody. If you ever look at the concept of that movie, it's been designed for a very specific kind of porn parody. Seriously, sit and think about it. It's there. You can even piece together the title of it if you try hard enough.
What's next on movie news, man?
Moving
swiftly on.
Marvel are apparently edging closer to signing Chiwetel Ejiofor as the villain for Doctor Strange, because it's been revealed that he would be playing Baron Mordo.
Yeah.
I always want to say Baron Mondo. Baron Mordo, who of course is trained with Stephen Strange.
Yes.
Under the tutelage of the character that we now know is going to be played by Tilda Swinton. And the ancient one. Yeah. But of course, Baron Mordo. I keep saying Mordor.
Don't say Mordor. Different franchise.
Mordo, he of course turns to the dark side and becomes the antagonist.
Yeah.
But apparently it's not going to be as clear cut.
It's not going to be as black and white as that, yeah.
So, interesting. I wonder if he's going to be...
might be like a Loki kind of... Yeah.
Quite possible. We need a new Loki type, I think, at this point in the universe.
He's a fantastic actor, isn't he? Yeah.
But,
that cast is coming together.
It is. It really is. I'm waiting to see if there's a love interest attached at any point, because I'd be intrigued if they do a Marvel movie that doesn't have a love interest.
I think this could be the one. This could be it. Yeah.
So, The Equalizer 2. We kind of knew this was coming. Denzel's first franchise. Were you a fan of The Equalizer?
Oh, I was.
It's great, isn't it?
I was a fan of the
Home
hardcore, Home Depot or Home Alone.
Exactly. It's Skyfall in B&Q.
Yeah.
So no, The Equalizer 2 has an official release date now, September 29th, 2017. Denzel Washington is signed up to headline the new sequel. He's going to be back. I can't wait for this.
Who's in the chair? Who's directing it?
No announcement yet. I'm hoping Antoine Fuqua returns. Because I'm a big fan of Fuqua.
Yeah,
And
they're big fans of each other, I think.
I think they are, because they did. They've got Magnificent Seven before that as well.
Yeah.
Together.
Oh, what a cast that's turned out to be.
It really is. Although Jason Momoa turned that down because apparently he's got better things to do. Something fishy about that one. Oh, awful pun.
Terrible fun.
So okay, let's see what else we got. Oh, Tomorrowland is on schedule to be the biggest flop for Disney since The Lone Ranger. They're estimating a loss of $140 million. What do you make of this one? Is it the death of the original?
Well, it's not as
film?
bad as John Carter.
It's not. No, I noticed that John Carter hasn't really been mentioned in the same breath. It's always since The Lone Ranger.
Since The Lone Ranger, since 3 years ago. Yeah, no, it doesn't make me feel good about original filmmaking for Disney. I'm not going to go into it too much, but obviously...
No.
When Disney started doing live action projects years and years ago in the 50s, they were all about similar kind of subject matter, all about hope and wonder and the human condition and
Now
finding
they've done
new
it again and
things.
it doesn't work.
And now it doesn't work, so we're just going to reboot a bunch of stuff that we did from back then, or get a bunch of
Live action
costume
fairy tales.
and a bunch of superheroes.
Exactly. Well, Star Wars, Marvel, fairy tales. That's 3 live action franchises.
They're making all this money. They can afford some flops, man.
Well,
Make some risks.
That's what has been said.
Yeah.
That the loss won't really matter to them because they've got Ant-Man and Inside Out in the next 2 months as more or less back to back.
Yeah.
So
Plus another Pixar film before the end of the year, and then Star Wars.
yeah, I think they'll be okay somehow.
They'll manage. They'll be okay.
And there's always that Saving Mr. Banks style sleeper drama that they shove out for Oscar season. The kind. They stick it out towards the end of the year. Well, they show it to the press at the end of the year and then they release it after Christmas.
Have they got something else like that towards the end of the year?
There'll be something. There always is.
Yeah.
And then,
every year.
Then, of course, there's the ones they don't want to talk about, like $1 Million Arm and things like that.
Oh, I like Million Dollar.
I know you
I was
do.
an advocate of it.
So, one final piece of film news, because this one just intrigued the hell out of me.
Go on.
Right. Thanks to a new deal with Amazon, it looks like there is now funding and an acquisition deal for the long gestating Terry Gilliam project, The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. Now, Case, I'm presuming I don't need to introduce this to you, but
I'm aware of this.
Do you want to describe the whole thing here? What is The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, and why is this interesting news?
Well, I know that Terry Gilliam has been trying to make it since he was about 6, I think.
That's it,
Something
yeah.
like that.
This movie has been stopped and started so many times that it has become a running joke.
It was even shooting at one point. It was even in production. It was even shooting, and there's a documentary about it. I think is it called The Death of?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's called The Death of Don Quixote.
Don Quixote. It wound up having its own documentary about the failed production process.
Yeah.
It stopped and started at least 5 times that I know of. It did have Johnny Depp attached at one point, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
It's now Jack O'Connell and John Hurt.
Oh, really?
So John Hurt is Don
cool.
Quixote, and this is about a time-travelling salesman who encounters Don Quixote and then becomes involved in... So, again, I will believe this when I see it, because it's been too many times now. I've been jaded and burnt enough. Call me when there's a trailer. So, on to the reviews then. So, should we start with should we start and finish with the biggie this week?
The
then?
biggie, yeah.
So, it's of course Jurassic World. If you're unfamiliar with the plot from the mass marketing campaign, well, the poster tagline sums it up.
Park is open.
The park is open. So 20 years after the events of Jurassic Park, in which John Hammond's experiment went a little bit wrong.
A little bit awry.
Little bit wrong. Jurassic Park is now open under the new branding of Jurassic World. It is a Disneyland-esque theme park filled with living attractions, i.e. dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But of course, as with everything in our culture, it's not really going to entertain people for very long. Audiences, it seems, are quite fickle. So, of course, why not go a little bigger, a little better, and a little meaner with the sequel and create your own dinosaur? So InGen and Masrani Genetics, I believe they're called, the company that now run Jurassic World.
They've taken on the mantle.
They decide to genetically create their own dinosaur, named the Indominus Rex. But no sooner can you say chaos theory than the Indominus Rex quickly escapes captivity and goes on a killing spree through the park, leaving the staff of Jurassic World standing as the only thing between the Indominus Rex and 20,000 visitors. Here is a clip of the head of Masrani Genetics, played by Irfan Khan, and his first encounter with having been shown the Indominus Rex.
Oh, it's white. You never told him it was white.
Think it'll scare the kids?
The kids? This will give the parents nightmares.
Is that good?
It's fantastic.
Irfan Khan and Bryce Dallas Howard there with the Indominus Rex, which it is a white dinosaur, but that's not really something that's played throughout the film. It looks white in that one scene, but it doesn't really look like a white-coloured dinosaur.
Well, there's a big part of its genetic makeup, which I'm not gonna.
There's a bit of mystery to it, but it works.
Yeah.
Right. So of course, this year has been all about fan bases and returning franchises, and
Mad Max.
But Mad Max for one thing. But in terms of huge fan bases, everyone's had their eye on Star Wars at the end of the year. To the extent that Jurassic Park was able to be more or less overlooked, it kind of came out nearly under the radar. And it's only in the last sort of few weeks that Jurassic World really ramped up the marketing
It's had a
campaign.
real huge campaign, hasn't it?
It got a real surge a few weeks ago. So all of a sudden it's Jurassic Park. And clearly the fan base is there. And they are as ravenous as the Star Wars fans. Because the one thing everyone overlooked was the fact that to an entire generation, which is namely yours and mine, Case, people who are in their 20s and 30s, Jurassic Park is the film of our childhood.
Absolutely.
That we look back on. That we look back on that theatrical experience with the sort of reverence that our parents' generation had for Jaws and Star Wars.
Yeah, well, I think I might have said this on a previous show. I saw this film in the cinema when I was 3 or 4 years old.
You did, because you made me feel really old.
Yes, I did.
I was 10.
Yeah, so it certainly is. It is my Jaws, if you like it.
Well, that's the thing. Because of that nostalgia factor as well, that seems to have been quite cleverly incorporated into the film. And it's really at the core of Jurassic World. This is a film which very much gets... We're not the first ones to the gate. This has been done before. We need to be very aware of that. We need to play on that. We need to be quite clever about how they do it. And for the most part, I think they're quite successful in that. The film is about nostalgia. It is about audience expectation. Very much about audience expectation in terms of its concept. And it is all about, how playing to appeasing an audience can ultimately go completely wrong. And which I think is quite a clever thing for a tentpole blockbuster summer picture.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Jake Johnson gets the most meta.
Oh God, yes,
monologue, doesn't he? Definitely,
very much so. So I mean, the one thing that the Jurassic Park sequels taught us is that basically the idea of a truly worthy Jurassic Park sequel seems to be something that's just elusive to Hollywood. They just can't seem to get it right. They had 2 attempts, one by Spielberg himself, and they still could not recapture the magic of the first Jurassic Park. It just seemed to completely escape them. And yet, here is a film that has come out of the blue, nearly a decade since Jurassic Park 3?
Oh, no, it's over, isn't it?
It's over a decade.
It's like 13 or 14 years or something.
It's 14 years.
It's 14 years, yeah.
14 years since Jurassic Park 3. And Colin Trevorrow, this is his first step at a big budget.
He did Safety Not Guaranteed a couple of years ago, which I really liked.
I was half and half on it, but this is his first big budget thing. And do you know what? He's definitely got the chops for it.
I have a bit of a theory about it, and it actually links into Star Wars.
Go on.
A little bit. Who was saying? It was Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was saying that this is the first Star Wars film that is truly made by a Star Wars fan.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, by like a proper fan who was like a child when it came out. And I kind of have this with Colin Trevorrow. So
I suspect that as well.
It would have been like 10 or just over like 10, 15 maybe when when that came out.
And that's the thing, because what he's done with it, because of his ability to balance character and action and to manage the sort of character-based comedy in between just spectacularly large action set pieces, what he's come up with is the first truly great Jurassic Park sequel. This is the first Jurassic Park sequel which actually can sit side by side with the 1993 Spielberg original.
Yeah.
For me, I think genuinely...
It definitely holds its own, I think, as well as paying homage.
But quite cleverly as well.
Cleverly so, yeah.
Because all the little nods and winks to the original Jurassic Park, they're all there if you want to see them. But if you don't, they're not going to bother you.
You pass them over, yeah.
You pass them over. I will just say that there is a really, really well done background gag involving Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
That if you see it, you will laugh yourself senseless several times throughout the movie. If you don't see it though, it's not going to keep you up at night. But,
I think it's hard not to see it, to be honest. I've
spoken to people who have not seen it.
Really?
Who just who saw the movie but just didn't see this
didn't see
gag.
it.
I had to point out, and one person went, oh yeah, is that what that was? I did wonder.
Within the first 5 minutes of Jurassic World, I saw about 10 references to the first film. I couldn't stop seeing them.
Well, so let's talk about the cast then. I think Chris Pratt, who's continuing his brand building here, because it just seems like Chris Pratt is building the Chris Pratt brand at this point.
Yeah, definitely. He's got that like all American. He's like a cross between Bruce Springsteen and Indiana Jones.
That's it. There is a very Harrison Ford-like quality to him. In terms of his character, it seems to be sort of a proto-Quint as well from Jaws.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's very much a Quint-like quality to him, but younger and more Harrison Ford-esque.
Bigger arms.
Bigger arms.
Bigger teeth, bigger arms.
Bigger teeth, bigger arms.
That's what the tagline should have been.
Bigger smile, and thanks to the teal and orange tint the film strangely has, also a weird amount of fake tan. But I can't figure that one out. That's the only thing. So on to the carrying on with the performances for a moment. His Owen Grady is, for my money, the first engaging lead in a Jurassic Park movie since Sam Neill in the first one.
Yeah.
Because I would argue that Jeff Goldblum is wasted in the second movie. He doesn't get an awful lot to do.
Well, it's not really like Ian Malcolm, I don't think.
It's
I feel
not,
like
it's
it's not.
character.
It is a different character.
A very different character. Yeah. Third movie, let's just ignore it entirely because
Talking Raptor.
Yeah. Even Sam Neill's phoning it. Alan. Nobody wants to think about the talking raptor or the gymnastic raptor fight in the second one.
Oh, God.
Yeah, let's ignore that. Incidentally, speaking of the gymnastic raptor fight in Lost World, it should be pointed out this is the first Jurassic Park movie ever to feature non-annoying children.
Yeah,
so
they do a good job.
They do a good job. I mean, let's try and forget about Lex and Tim, whoever the little girl was in the second movie, and oh God, what was his name in the third one? They shout.
The one that goes missing.
They shout his name out on a megaphone. I can't remember for the life of me.
Sam. Let's call him Sam.
Let's call him Sam. He's Sam. It's a generic child name. So on to Bryce Dallas Howard though as the female lead of the movie. Now, I do think she is very, very badly served for the first half of the movie. I think it is very much a cut and paste of absent parent cliches from 90s family movies. You know the old, I'm too busy with work for my children, even though they're not her children. But it's that, I'm career focused. I don't have time for anything. I don't do dating. It's that character from every 90s family movie. It's the mum character.
Yeah.
And then second half of the movie, when they actually give her something to do, when she actually becomes involved in the actual concept, the run and chase stuff, they start to evolve the character actually quite admirably. But the problem is they've wasted half of the opportunity, I think, by that point.
There is a bit where she even starts to dress like Laura Dern. There
is a nice sequence.
Rips her shirt and ties it up just like Laura Dern.
But I do think Bryce Dallas Howard though is a very engaging lead. I think it's the writing of the first half that just doesn't serve her that well. In terms of the rest of the cast, Irfan Khan, not enough of him, but he's very good for what he's in there. Jake Johnson, I think, is great, as
He's
said,
very
meta. What are we going to call him? Control room technician?
Control room tech, yeah.
Control room technician. Vincent D'Onofrio. We should talk about him. Now, very, very weak link, I thought.
I really like him.
The
performance. I just don't think that you can't militarize a dinosaur.
And that's
not even in this fantastical world.
No, but that's the thing though. His character is literally there's no middle ground with the character. There's no niceties. His character literally shows us, "Hey, how you doing? I want to militarize dinosaurs." You're like, "We've been watching this for 2 minutes. Really? We're starting with this already?" "Hey, I want to militarize dinosaurs." You're like, "Okay, hi Vince." He's like, "Yeah, hi Chris." "Hey, you want to militarize dinosaurs?" "Yeah, we know. You said." "Yeah, we said. Do you want a coffee?" He says, "No, I want to militarize dinosaurs." We know, Vince. Please talk about something else." And then, you'll get a text message and it's Vince. It's, hey, I want to militarize dinosaurs.
dinosaurs.
That's his character.
That's it, yeah.
That's it.
He has no kind of progression.
And then, about half an hour in, the Indominus Rex is loose and he's like, phones up, like, hey, there's a dinosaur loose in the park. I want to militarize dinosaurs. Yeah, we know, Vince. We know.
You could see it coming.
We know. You've mentioned it a few times. We get it. You want to militarize dinosaurs.
So, Owen Grady, Chris Pratt's character.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think his character's good. I think he's good in it. So, all right, let me just get this completely straight. He was in the Navy, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
And now he trains raptors.
We will presume he was training dolphins when he was in the Navy. Let's just
assume
that. Let's assume that.
Was he militarizing dolphins?
You say that they have militarized dolphins as bomb detection things, haven't they? So, right. So visually, though, we should mention BD Wong as well.
Oh yeah, Dr. Wu.
Very creepy little extended cameo, but it is all set up for a sequel. Colin Trevorrow, though, the director, he makes a very solid stand-in, I think, as a pseudo Spielberg.
Yeah, definitely.
And he seems to understand the Spielbergian quality that made the first film so good. His visual style, it does flow. It has a very adventurous, wondrous tone to it, I think. And he captures, particularly in how he unveils the park. The actual first shot of the unveiling of the park, which is through a set of blinds, by opening a pair of blinded double doors.
Yeah, it kind of ramps up with the music.
Ramps it up with the music and unveils it in just the right way. It is the perfect reintroduction of Jurassic World, and the way we are just shown at the park has a very, very good sense of scope. I did worry that they'd actually overexpanded the size of the location in terms of the marketing beforehand, but when you watch the film, it does have a very well thought out sense of place. But we should talk about Michael Giacchino's score as well, which you're quite a fan of.
Well, I'm a great fan of his anyway. It's some of my favourite scores of all time. But yeah, I'm just going to bring up the track listing.
Oh God, you're a big fan of this because he does blend the classic themes with some new, quite wondrous stuff of his own.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there was no way that this film could be made and not have nods to the classics. It could not, Sherver Park could not have that classic music, that classic theme.
That classic John Williams score.
Yeah, so he incorporates that very well, the way that he did in the Star Trek films.
Very much so. But you're a fan of the track listing names more than anything else.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up right now.
You're pulling it up.
Okay, so he has a fantastic habit of
puns.
And I do love a good pun.
You do. Well, I told you about his Star Trek theme. It's called Enterprising Young Men. So, it gives you a vague idea.
Okay, so track 1 is Bury the Hatchling. Moving down, track 6. There's a track called Owing You Nothing.
Oh dear God.
Owing You Nothing. Indominus Rex, as in Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, okay. Indominus actually Rex things. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. There's some classic ones.
Oh dear God!
So, but it's not just the puns. So,
it's not. No, the score
he really builds up a sense of terror in places where you need it.
I mean, in terms of the overall score, I don't quite think it reaches John Williams' high, but I think it comes pretty damn close. I would say it's as close as you could make it. I think without getting John Williams.
Well, that's it.
But visually as well, though, it is worth pointing out the whole film fits the IMAX ratio for a change.
Oh yeah, that was great.
The film is in IMAX ratio. There's no angle hopping on this, and it do see this on the biggest screen possible. But if God forbid there's a way to see it in IMAX 2D, please take it. Because the 3D is so redundant to this. It's not needed at all. Nothing is really done in the 3D, despite the fact that there's a lot of opportunity.
It's not like San Andreas.
It's not like San Andreas at all.
There's a helicopter falling directly on me.
So, let's rebuild. Anyway, so I just say, in closing, this is the first truly great Jurassic Park sequel. For my money anyway. I don't know if you agree with that. The first truly great one. There's a lot to love there. It's about as successful a franchise reboot as anyone could possibly hope for.
Yeah, I think he's done a fantastic job. I don't know if he has really enjoyed being part of the franchise. I think if he has, I feel like he's going to be courted for something else.
I have a theory. Star Wars is calling.
See you later, Josh.
Star Wars is calling.
Well, they've got that now vacant slot, haven't they?
Star Wars is going to be calling Colin Trevorrow. Indiana Jones is going to be calling Chris Pratt. I'm just saying that's going to happen.
But it's the people that are behind Jurassic World. Obviously Spielberg and Amblin stuff. But is Kathleen Kennedy part of Jurassic World still? Or
I'm not sure. I think she's
part. Is it Frank Marshall?
I have no idea.
Anyway, we're all pals.
All I know is Phil Tippett is still the dino supervisor on Jurassic World. And I'm sorry, Phil, but you're really bad at the job.
You gotta get somebody else. You gotta get someone else.
Look, there was raptors in the Pandora, Phil. Raptors in the branch of Pandora and a Starbucks. This was not amateur hour. Right,
Get your act together, Phil.
Get your act together, Phil. And Waterloo. There were raptors in Waterloo, Phil.
Yeah.
Anyway. Right, so that actually was in the real world and not on screen.
Yeah.
Right, so I think we're going to give that film the week by default because it's the only major release.
But if we had 5 other films, that probably would get it as well.
So next week, of course, we've got some interesting ones to look forward to. We've got, of course... Entourage is upon us. Mr. Holmes, Ian McKellen's turn as the legendary detective in Bill Condon's drama. Natural Resistance, which I know nothing of. The Burning, Accidental Love, and the latest Nicholas Sparks adaptation. Because apparently someone up there hates me. The Longest Ride, starring Britt Robertson and Scott Eastwood. Scott Eastwood, he's getting a name.
He's going to be in Suicide Squad,
He's going to be in Suicide Squad, yeah. So we've got all of that to come and more next week off screen. This has been a Candystore production for On Screen. I've been Van Connor.
I've been Kase Allen.
And we'll be back next week.
Just show me the way to get out of here, and I'll be on my way.
You've been listening to OffScreen. For more news and reviews, visit OnScreenFilm.com.
Okay, cut. That's a wrap.
Life finds a way.